My presentation on esports and gaming PR. So, first off, what is the esports and what is the gaming industry? Now, I know we have all heard of a video game, but what is esports? So, esports is defined as a multiplayer video game played competitively for spectators, typically by professionals or gamers. So, there are tournaments that are held by these large organizations surrounding a certain game that players compete around, earn money, there's audiences. It's just like real sports, but just their video games. So, some examples are the Electronic Sports League, the Overwatch League, and the Valorant Championship Tour. Um, and then some examples of gaming companies you can work for, because it's not just the leagues, it's also the companies you can do for the big three, which are Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. Or you could work for a still a larger company that is like the Activision Blizzard or Epic Games, which is here in North Carolina. But some really quick facts about the esports industry. The United States recognizes esports league players as professional athletes. Insider Intelligence claims that there is 29.6 million monthly esports viewers, which is insane. And in the for the League of Legends World Championship in 2019, it had more viewers than the Super Bowl in 2020, and the esports industry is collecting billions with a projected 1.8 million in 2022. So a day in the life, what will you do as an esports PR executive or anywhere in the field relating to PR? You're going to gather information from the community, which is super important. Working with your community and understanding what they want, because games are there for the people. They are your consumers. You want to cater to them first. Release new updates to not only the press but also the public. Both are key figures. You want the press to put out your new information, and you want the public to eat it up. You want to strategize new ways to promote the game or the league that you're affiliated with. It depends whether or not you're working for the company that makes the game or you're working with the league that the game or the sport that the game is based off, if that makes sense. It's a little different from real sports in that way. um, and you could also be planning and providing coverage for said events as well. And someone I'll get to later, a big inspiration of mine, Holly Bennett, she says, imagine making a really amazing game and no one ever buys it. So that's just an example of, or it's just her saying what the PR and also the marketing in the video games realm is all about. If you have a great game and no one ever buys it, was it really that great? So some examples. Where can you work? Now, for a local example, Epic Games is located right here in North Carolina in Cary, and it is one of the top 10 gaming companies. If you've ever heard of Fortnite, they make that game. It's an amazing example of a success story that's right here in North Carolina. On a national level, if we want to go a little bit outside, we can go to That Game Company, which is at Santa Monica Studios. They're a smaller studio. They've had a few indie games, which just means that they're not made by one of the larger people. They're smaller funded, but they found great success, and they're in Santa Monica Studios, California. And if you want to move internationally, you can go to Twitch, which is in San Francisco. Still not international, but they work internationally as they work with influencers and they work with many other larger platforms, gaming platforms, and even beyond gaming. It's a streaming service, so you could work for something like them, or you could do something like the League of Legends Championship in Korea, which is hosted in Seoul, and that is a championship, an esports championship that is international. But you could still work for them because they also rely on international revenue. Um, the types of jobs that you can have is you could deal with influencer relations, you could be a community manager, you could work in event management, or you could work in social media management. And honestly, gaming is such a new industry and there's so much potential in there that so many of these roles are so new that it's still developing. So, but those are just some examples of what you can do as a PR personnel in this industry. It's very viable. Now, for one of my main examples, Holly Bennett, she has been an inspiration of mine even before I knew she was an inspiration of mine. She was a person who was on PlayStation Access many years ago, working as headlining and doing some journalism on certain games. And little did I know that she's the UK head of communications. She's been a channel manager for PlayStation Access, what I was referencing before. And she's also been a consumer and community PR executive for a few different companies, not only just Sony, which was what I knew her from, but she also worked for Bandai Namco and Project Red. Um, so just some quick quotes from her just to see what she's saying. She says, PR is fantastic. It used to mean public relations. Thanks to social media, I now believe it means press relations. And her specific reference to that was saying that it used to be about working with the people, selling the people the games, but now it's more about working with journalism to get the game out there. And that's a lot of what she deals with as a PR executive in games. She also says if you work for a small publisher, PR is an event itself. She talks a lot about having to do a lot of the work and planning for her events and releases that she's tasked with, and she doesn't have a large team to dole out that information to other people. And also, she says, I didn't think I could do it, but it is a really viable option for working in the games industry. She used to be a midwife before she started working into games, and she carved her own path. I find it very admirable. So, as a PR person, as we all are in this class, working to find our way in this industry, it's actually a very viable way of, in a new emerging way for a new industry to find yourself, find your own as a PR executive in a way that maybe you didn't think. Well, all right. These are all of my sources that I used today. Thank you so much, and I hope you learned something and learned something new about PR and found it educational in a way that maybe you wouldn't think. You don't think about games as being very serious, but it is an emerging industry. As we said, it generated more revenue than physical sports. So it's an emerging industry, and it's something to look out for. So thank you so much for listening, and have a good day.